Hey guys, it's Allison here and I am back talking about scale. In my last video you saw me pick 3 different pattern papers, full 12 by 12 sheets with patterns on it from a small scale to a large scale, and then go through my scrap bin and pick out scraps that will work with it to create a layout. Now I'm going to start creating those layouts. So I'm going to start with the small scale pattern. These are the 2 papers that I had initially chosen to work with. I couldn't make up my mind which one I wanted to use more, so I just picked both of them. Upon further reflection, I think I'm gonna not discard this one. I might use it maybe to mat photos or something like that, but this is going to be my main paper. Normally when I am making what I like to call, and what Schmel Lane calls, starting point layouts, I don't have my photos picked out, but for this particular one I wanted to go ahead and see if I could find some photos. So I have gone back and pulled out photos from a birthday party. This is my middle daughter here, and this was her birthday party a year ago, and just some of the crazy antics that she and her friends were getting up to. And I felt that these photos really represented the sort of the mood and the fun of this particular paper very well. So now I'm gonna, with these photos in mind, I'm not gonna place them on the paper per se, but I'm gonna keep them in mind, and I will most likely have them stacked like this. So keeping that in mind, that's how I will plan the rest of my page. So I'll put them aside, and just know that normally if I'm just creating a base layer, I don't have the photos in mind, but for this one I needed them. So I've gone ahead and cut off the branding strip on this one, and I also cut the branding strip on this one, but I realized I need to cut a little bit more because this particular paper, which I want to have sort of as a central block in the background, has this white edge to it, like the paint hasn't gone all the way to the edge, so it's got this sort of distressed white edging, and I find that a little distracting. So I'm actually going to cut it all off when I have my block in the middle. And I think I'll just start with 1/2 inch off each side and see where we go. I realize that's going to leave me with some awkward 1/2 inch strips, but I am okay with that. I will probably be able to use them in something down the road. So now I've got this nice orange background that I can continue to build on. Having a photo block of this could be good. The other papers that I had, this one I'm going to cut the flowers out of, and this one I'm going to cut the flowers out of. So I'll put those to one side. I have this, which would be quite nice as a border, maybe underneath the photos or running alongside the photos. And then I have some sort of more solid pieces. I could even use this as a bit of a, not really a photo mat because it's not tall enough, but I can use it as some sort of layering in there. And then the last one I have is this stripe. Not really sure if I'm actually going to get that one into the layout or not. It feels a little bit like it's fighting. The white is a bit too white compared to this, which is more of a softer, warmer white. I might just, you know what, I'm just going to put this one away because it's too distracting. Okay, so let's cut a mat out of this. Now my photos are 4 by 6. I don't need a lot of the mat showing, so I'm just going to make it 6 1/4 by, I was going to say 4 1/4, but I need it to be 8 inches high, so 8 1/4. And to see, it. You know, I'm going to cut a couple of these sort of rulers, and then I have a couple to play with as once I bring in my photos. And this was her 9th birthday, so it could be nice to try and align it so that I can highlight the number 9 somehow. On this one the 9 is here, and on this one it's there. So that one is more conducive to highlighting the number 9 just because where the 9 is placed on the paper. So I can either have it that way. I do feel like I need a horizontal element here. I don't really want to have 2 of these. So what I might do, what was on the back of my, what I might do actually is look in my stash for some washi tape. Either that, or I just change my mind completely and yeah, you know what, I am going to do it that way. Okay, because the background has this warm white, I'm not going to ink my edges in gray, which I normally do. I'm going to use a brown ink. And I just like to stick adhesive on as I go. Because I use a double-sided tape, it's not going to stick to anything yet until I take the backing off the tape. But if you've watched any of my videos, you know I'm very much a stick it down and deal with the consequences later kind of gal. That's pretty much what I'm going to do right now. I guess you could say that my philosophy is it's just paper. So if it does go a bit wrong, well, I can always cover it up with more paper, or grab different pieces of paper and start all over. Let's tuck this in there. And I will fussy cut some flowers off camera and come back. I fussy cut my flowers, and I was feeling that the contrast between the flowers and the background was not great enough, so I actually cut out some circles from one of the pieces, the solid pieces of this turquoisey teal color. And it serves 2 purposes. It actually, it creates that contrast that I need between the flowers and the background. It also helps reinforce that we're playing with scale, because these are larger scaled than the polka dots in the paper. So they offer some additional contrast, not just in color, but in size. However, as I pulled in my photos and I was playing with everything, it still felt like there was something missing. And I went back to my papers, and that the pink one on the back had the word strips, and there was 3 in yellow. And so I've cut them out, and I'm just going to add 1 to each little area. And I'll have to figure out, I'll have to trim them obviously, and I'll have to figure out if I actually want the sort of border around them or not, because it won't be consistent on all of them. But that is just adding a little bit more color. It adds that horizontal sort of grounding line for my embellishments as well, and I'm quite happy with that. I do have to play with the placement of these embellishments. I'm not happy with the way they are right now. It feels too heavy on this side and there's not enough on this side. I realize my title and my journaling is going to go over here, but I don't think that is going to take up enough or give enough visual weight to balance these other things. It might be as simple as switching this smallest embellishment cluster with the medium-sized one. That might help even out my balance, but I will have to play with that. So I'll keep playing and I'll come back once I'm at the point where I can add my title and everything. Here's where I'm at now, and I am ready to add my title. I wanted to bring in more of that turquoise. I really like the pops that I've added with the large circles, but I wanted to add more. So I went into my stash for some turquoise lettering, and I've got a couple of options here. This is a really fun, it's vinyl, and it's just a really fun texture, and I thought it would go really well with the photos. I don't have exactly the right lettering that I need to make the title, but I'm going to show you a trick in just a moment. And then I have these as well that I will use for the second word of my title. So I wanted to spell out pulling faces, and I didn't have any U's or any N's, and I only had one L and no I's. So I am going to do a little bit of alphabet surgery. I've got a P, I've got one H that I can turn into a U just by snipping off the stem there. I got one L, and I've got a K that I can make into another L. And again, I don't have any I's, but I've got an F that I can turn into an I, just like that. No N's, but I can turn this into an N. And then I got a G. And suddenly, I have a title that works. So let's add that to the layout here. Now, I actually want to add the smaller word first. I want to tuck it in here. And I realize this is probably going to be a bit big to sort of tuck per se. Let's just move this up. Hang on. And I want to call this Pulling Faces, because that is exactly what they are doing. They gave me beautiful, nice smiles, and then they all made funny faces. That's just the age they are. And then I can put these ones in here. I'm going to try frame it out a little bit. Hopefully I'm on camera here. I'm not sticking them down all the way yet. Now I have this, this flower has a pop dot underneath it, and I think I am going to move it because I want these letters to be flat. Hopefully I can get this off easily enough. And I can move it under this one perhaps. There we go. So I've just got to play with getting that squished in a little bit more. But there we go. Now I have created a title that is fun, just as fun as the girls in the photos. And I've used up some letters that, you know, you maybe wouldn't think to do. Good trick for you. We're almost finished. I've added my journaling, and then I brought in that same teal vinyl in the little asterisks. Just added that to my little flower embellishments. And now I want to add something which is a different texture. My initial gut reaction, go-to embellishment is enamel dots, but because the paper is polka dotted and the enamel dots are going to be basically the same size, and probably, I mean, they're not, kind of a matte finish. I realize that they are shiny, but they're not quite as shiny as what I want to use, which is some gems. I just want to give it a bit more obvious texture. I think an enamel dot is just going to fade into the background, basically. It's going to get lost in the paper. So I've just dug into my stash and pulled out some pinks and reds that I thought it could work, and then some bigger pearls. Again, we're playing with scale, so I want to have some things that are slightly unexpected. These big gems are like that. So instead of shooting it across the page, let's try and find some places that I think this would look good. This is always somewhat of a tricky endeavor for me, I think. If I add one to the center of a flower in each cluster, that might help bring some continuity. And now, I think these little pearls. Let's see what else I have. Maybe some smaller little gems as well. There we go. Okay, and that is where I'm going to call this one finished. So that is my layout made with my small scale paper. I've got both patterns on there. You can't see the one of them very much because it's the photo mat, but I'm totally okay with that. And I'm super happy to use all these items from my stash. Hope it made sense to you. And I'll see you next time when I tackle the medium scale pieces of paper. Thanks again. Bye-bye.